Hi everyone, welcome to our APA Tips for Success. And what we're going to do today is basically look at basic APA formats. So we're going to be looking at the different types of references. We're going to be looking at book, website, and periodical references. We're also going to be looking at in-text citations, and we're going to go through some of the most common APA formatting challenges that I experience when I'm doing grading to help you bypass some of those challenges. And I'm also going to share some information about McKendree University's Writing Center. And just a plug up front, it's a free service and it's a wonderful service to help you through making sure that your writing or your compositions are in top-notch order. And it's there for you. And please access the Writing Center. And it's not just for those who have challenges with writing. I just want to really stress that. The center is there for every student. So, as we're looking at our APA manual, there are certain pages that I found that are very helpful to just go ahead and tag your APA manual so you can refer back to them. And again, these are some of the commonly used pages within your APA manual, and they vary from the block quotes on page 92. We're looking at use of commas. One of my most favorite pages, and the one that I think is very helpful for students, is in-text citations on page 177. There's a very user-friendly table on that page that you may find to be very helpful to you. The other page in particular I want to highlight is the reference by type pages, and actually it's a spread of pages, and it goes through books and periodicals and websites and government documents. So it really goes through a multitude of different opportunities for you to actually construct your references based on the examples that they're providing within the APA manual. So when we're looking at some sample references, I want to walk through the sample references, and they aren't all exactly like this, but this is the general format for books. So you want to make sure that you list out the authors, the date. You always want to put the title of the book in italics, and you only use capital letters in the title on the first word, or if there's any proper nouns within the title, and the first word following a punctuation point that such as a colon or a period. So you want to capitalize immediately following that punctuation mark in your titles as well. You always want to include the edition, and you want to put the place and the publishing organization. For websites, this is just an example, and typically just a hint, if you're using government websites, usually it's the government organization unless it's indicated differently on your resource. So you want to include the name of the organization, the date, and the title of the web page that you accessed and retrieved from with the entire URL. So the key is that we actually want to make sure that our readers can access the resources that we use, so we should include the entire URL. And sometimes I see that it's only up until this point, that it just has cdc.gov, and that doesn't help us because the website for CDC is huge, and we need to actually access the information that you gained or what you used within your document. As far as journals, again, you want to make sure that you include the authors, the date, the title is not in italics, and remember that book titles are in italics. And again, we want to watch out for those punctuation points and use a capital letter immediately following a colon. With the journals, you want to put the title of the journal in italics. And then the first number is in italics, but the number in the parentheses is not in italics. And when you have page numbers, you don't put P period and the page number. So you just indicate the number of the pages. Just kind of keep that in mind. And as far as the reference list, I touched on these things, but really watch your capitalization in the titles. And remember that the first word is capitalized, and proper nouns and any letter or any word following a colon or a period in the title itself. And again, watch your italics, because we want to refer back to the title of a book is always in italics. The title of an article is not, or the title of a web page is not, but the title of the periodical or the journal is in italics. So just kind of keep that in mind. As far as designating the author, many times with the websites, they are organization-based, but sometimes there are different resources that you may use within a government website that has specific authors, so keep that in mind as well. And also there is guidance within the APA manual on references that have more than 7 authors. There's actually within the reference examples, there is a page that relates to references that have more than 7 authors. So with that case, you don't list out each and every author. You list out the first 6, ... and then the final author of the entire work. So just kind of refer back to your APA manual if you run into that. So in-text citation, and this tends to be the stumbling block for many folks, and I understand because the rules are a little different under different circumstances. So always refer to page 177 for details. So when we're looking at providing citations within our documents, if there's one work by 2 authors, you include both authors all the time. If there's 1 to 5 authors, you always list all authors the first time. And then if there's more than 2 authors, and I know this sounds confusing, you only, after the first citation, if there's more than 2 authors, then you use the et al. Format. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you have one work that has 6 or more authors, the first citation, you may use the et al. Format. So just kind of keep that in mind. When you're using groups that are identified by an abbreviation, you also want to, if it's the first citation, you want to include what that abbreviation actually is within your citation. And if it's within parentheses, you want to use brackets. So keep that in mind. So just kind of use this as a guide, but like I said, always refer back to page 177 so you can look at specific examples as far as in-text citations. As we move on, we're looking again at the most common errors. So it's the most common error that I see is the use of the et al. Citation. So again, page 177. Some mistakes in citing groups or organizations identified by abbreviations, and a little confusion that there are some differences between when you use names of authors outside of a parentheses, say for instance, Whittington, Garby, and Albers, and then within parentheses you would put the date, stated that, or if you have a statement in your text and you just cite the authors at the very end within parentheses, you would do Whittington, comma, Garby, comma, the ampersand sign, and Albers, and then comma and the date. So what you're doing is you use the ampersand sign when it's within parentheses, and you use the word and, A-N-D, when you're writing within the context of a sentence. So a couple of extra tips. Always use past tense when you're referring to the literature because the literature is already done. You want to avoid attributing behaviors to an inanimate object. So it's not that the study found something, it would be that Whittington found or this particular author found. So you want to give that action to the authors versus the action to the study itself. You always want to use concise and clear language. Make sure you're telling your reader what the subject is. So that includes avoiding words like this, that, these, those, it. So you don't want to refer to the subject as it. You want to clearly delineate and use forceful voice or active voice in your writing to be very clear what you're referring to so your reader knows. Always use New Times Roman 12-point font, double space for APA. Avoid templates, and I know that there are many, many templates out there. Many of the templates are incorrect. So always use the APA manual. Just avoid those templates if possible, and if you do use one, double check them to make sure that they're consistent with the APA manual. When you're doing your running head, this is a common error as well. You want to put your running head, colon, and then the title, the abbreviated title of your paper is in all caps. And I do want to highlight the fact that in the running head, the H is actually a lowercase h when you're doing your running head. So there's a couple of resources that are available, and one is Purdue OWL, and that is probably the best online supplement to the APA manual. In addition, you can use the Writing Center, as I alluded to earlier, and please keep in mind that the Writing Center is there for absolutely everyone. So please access. In conclusion, the whole goal of this presentation is help you through with some of the challenges with APA. APA format is not intuitive. You can't just know what you need to do because there are different rules that apply in different situations. So I want to strongly encourage you to keep your APA manual with you as you're composing your assignments. Make sure that you tag your APA manual, and we went through that as we went through the presentation. And make sure that the focus is on your professional writing practice, and your writing will evolve over time. And be patient with yourself. Take a look at the feedback that's provided to you, because the intent of the feedback is to help you to improve your writing skills and to elevate your writing practice. In addition, there's nothing wrong with obtaining assistance. In fact, it's the best thing to do rather than having errors occur over and over again, and that can get very frustrating. So just remember, if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to contact me. I hope you found this presentation to be helpful, and please know that I use APA format as well. So thank you so much. Take care now. Bye-bye.